Good afternoon. This is Francesca,
And this is Antonio.
and we are here to interview the famous short film critic and scholar Cynthia Felando, one of the members of the international jury of this year short film festival. Hi, Cynthia.
Hi.
Hi,
So
Cynthia.
nice to meet you. It's so nice to be here and so excited about the festival.
Oh,
We're pleased. So, how did your interest in the medium of short films begin? And in your opinion, how does this medium can speak to young people nowadays, enriching their knowledge in the history and the culture of a country and its population?
These are perfect questions. And I'm going to go back to an early part of my life when I was about 7 years old. So this is a part of the first answer to the first question. So I'm 7 years old, and my school organized an event with another school, which was going to be a screening. There would be a short film followed by a feature-length film. And so we'd be going to another school, and so more kids, more fun. There was going to be popcorn. We were all very excited. It was on a Saturday morning. So the first film was The Red Balloon, Oliver Lamarice's film from 1956. So have you seen that film?
Oh, no, I haven't.
You'll have to see it.
Yes,
It's just a
absolutely.
delightful film. And so it's about a little boy. He's about 6 or 7, about the same age as I was when I saw it. And he is on the way to school one morning, and he sees a beautiful red balloon tethered to a light post. And he climbs up and he grabs that balloon, and it's got a life of its own. And so he kind of tames it. So it's almost like a little dog, like a little pet. And then it becomes very cheeky and kind of plays hide and seek with the little boy. And so it was set in Paris, France. And I was absolutely captivated. It's a live action film. And my eyes were like saucers. So I was in love with the story because it's just absolutely fantastical. And the balloon was beautiful. And it was against this backdrop of post-war Paris. So it was a little, gritty and a little not its shiniest. So the balloon and the boy really stood out, and it was just magical from beginning to end. And I was seeing this place I hadn't seen before, Paris, and that was just as captivating as this little boy, whose name was Pascal. And so that just put the love of short films into me from this very early age. I felt like I could relate to that character and his sense of imagination and so on. And it was an art film, so it's my first art film I ever saw. I remember that film vividly, and then it became a film that got shown in grammar schools, elementary schools, so, grades, kindergarten to about 8th grade, over and over again. It was I think it was the most distributed short film to classrooms. So I saw it over and over again and loved it each time. So it was my first art film. What was the second film, the feature-length film that was shown on that special event? I have no idea. The only thing I remembered was the short film. And so as far as young people go, for your generation and maybe a little into the millennial generation, since streaming, I'm finding that not only we all know there's more shorts available online, there are more short film festivals, but it's that there's not the hierarchy between shorts and feature-length films. So there's not this kind of sense that feature-length films are more important among young people. And one of the things I most appreciate about short films is that they take us to other places, and they achieve our expectations about what would take place. And part that is because they are made by people all around the world. And if you are a person who loves short films more and more every day like I do, you can see things that are entirely new. And so I have this thing I've been noticing about feature-length films, which is that they tend to, even, international cinema tends to be dominated still, unfortunately, by Hollywood-style films. And if you've noticed, there's about, 25 or 30 actors that appear over always. And you always know what's going to happen to those characters. If they do die or something, it's not till the end of the film, because they're the star and they have to last for the duration of the film. And so I love, it's stars like Emma Stone and Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling and Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, about 25 actors. Same. And so I find myself getting less I love those actors. It's not that I don't love the actors in the films. It's just that they're not as artistically inclined, and they're story-wise, they're just more predictable. And what I absolutely love about shorts, and what I love about young people who don't hierarchize short films versus feature-length films, is that there's a wider experience of the world by way of shorts. And so I think that when you sit down for a short film, you have no idea what you're going to see. Even if you've read a description, it gives you such a small sense of what it will be. And I get more excited. I mean, this is absolutely true. I get more excited by the short films I see. And I appreciate that. Whereas that hierarchy that older generations have, and that sense among filmmakers in the past that they were only making shorts as a way into, or, not every emerging filmmaker, but as a way into the feature-length film realm, I think that short films were so marginalized for so long that we didn't see films from Tunisia and from Chechnya and from places that we just don't experience otherwise. And so I think that the marginalization of shorts up until, I would say, the last 10 or 15 years, but maybe really even 5 years, is that we marginalized cultures, we marginalized nations, we marginalized people and experiences. And so what I appreciate in the most recently is that there's less about marginalization, and there's less of a focus on Western-oriented films and filmmakers. So, and I have to say, each time I go to a short film festival, and I just want to emphasize again, I don't want to disparage feature-length films, but and I get very excited about them. But when I go to a short film festival and I am absolutely absorbed by the films I see there, I find myself for the following weeks running images from them through my mind. It's like going to the best gallery exhibition and being absolutely, my breath is taken away so often by the imagination of filmmakers. And often they're young because you learn as a filmmaker to make short films early on. And so the subject matter often centers around younger characters. And so I appreciate that too. I find it really enriching, and just it really touches my heart. And so I annoy my friends and my husband with my stories about, you won't believe this film that I saw. And then I just go on and on about it. And I am so lucky because in the last few years, I have been able to really enjoy and you see a lot more shorts, appreciate a lot, there's just more to see, more to appreciate. And I think it just makes me a happier and better person that there are shorts and that I see things I never would have imagined that it was possible to see. So that's a long answer.
Don't worry, it's fascinating.
And the next following question is about, you said you collaborate with many festivals around the world, and how different was your experience each time, and how does a festival can be helpful to promote the creativity of a filmmaker? And there's any advice that you want to share with the young ones of our festival about it?
Okay, so I think that each short film festival has its own character because the programming teams are different, and sometimes the head programmer has their own preferences and so on. But I find that there's still a lot of overlap. They have their unique personalities, but I always find that there's at least a few films that I'll see at festivals. So, but what I love is that they do have different characters. And then depending upon, in terms of awards, the juries are different each time. And so there's variation that way. And it's much more unpredictable what will win. I always think about what short film festivals offer versus in terms of bringing attention to shorts and so on. And for decades, it was short film festivals that most appreciated shorts. So until streaming and until younger people were seeing short films as much as they were seeing feature-length films, the festivals were the sort of just the primary exhibition form for venue for shorts. So I think that I think about the Academy Awards and the films they select for their nominations. They're often very narrow. They're often very predictable. They're often formulaic. They often have protagonists who win against all odds and succeed at the end. They often have closed endings. And so while I appreciate that the Oscars does, have shorts categories, the winners are often disappointing because they're so, you can almost predict. If there were a way to bet on the short films that would win the Oscars, I would live in one of the palaces in Venice. So when you go to short film festivals, and then, I love all of the films, but I also love to see how jurors respond to them and what the winning films are. So they are not the films. Often they're the most challenging films that are in the competition categories. Often they are just so artistic that they just wouldn't conform to the Academy voters' expectations. And this, I think, is also really exciting. For young people, I don't think young people have to be convinced, young filmmakers have to be convinced of the value of short film festivals. I find that audiences are so responsive to short films. I used to attend, I was a feature-length film programmer for several years, and so I attended some feature-length film festivals, especially the Toronto Film Festival, religiously. And that was very oriented to which films were going to get picked up for distribution. And there would be executives that would meet together in the conference rooms and so on, in the meeting rooms, and they didn't leave those rooms to go see the shorts. And I thought, and then there was the part of the the audience that was in love with the films and was attending the films and seeing, like I would, 6 or 7 films in a day. But at short film festivals, even though there are competitions and distributors there looking for shorts to buy and distribute, the sense of the acceptance of the audiences and the distributors who don't sit in meeting rooms, meeting with executives from studios and so on, is so much more, it's just a much more enthusiastic audience. The distributors have a different kind of orientation, excuse me, to the films too, that I think, well, I don't think I have to convince, and this is different than it was, several years ago. Don't really have to convince young filmmakers about the worthiness and the power and just the sheer joy of short film festivals, because they already know. But I just urge filmmakers to enter as many as possible, because those programming teams are different, and to go for the top film festivals, Heimatbrand and Oberhausen, the list of those festivals that get a lot of attention, but also the other festivals as well, because if you don't get accepted to one, it might not be because the film has less value and less artistic merit or different storytelling strategies. It's just maybe the taste of the programming team. And so that's also what I love about short film festivals. You can't really, while there's some overlap, you can't really expect to know what the menu of shorts will be. This is very different than feature-length film festivals, which tend to, with some variation of course, but tend to show the same films that were shown in Berlin and Cannes and Locarno and so on. So I just say, apply to all of them. Some of them charge fees, which I think is really is unfortunate, but to as many, and including the feature-length film festivals that have short film components. And part of the value of that is, even if your film doesn't get picked up for distribution, or it doesn't get selected for the New Yorker's a YouTube channel or something, you're going to have the most excited audiences, the most enchanted audiences. And you will hear from film fans like me who will get in touch with you and just gush endlessly about how excited they were about your short film. And then, because there's so many streaming platforms now, Vimeo Short Film of the Week, and all the short film platforms, your film will be seen. And because of streaming, films in general live longer. And so years after a film gets released to a festival, for example, or festivals, it will have a long life. And so I'm still myself, although I see hundreds of shorts every year, which is not enough for me if there were more hours in the day, I'm still discovering new films. And I would ask my students at the end of each term, I would have a student's choice component. So students would bring in their favorite shorts and then introduce them, much like happens at a festival. And there's always films that I haven't seen. And so then the very last day I'll say, I know you're going to graduate and go on to fame and fortune, but when you encounter shorts that you love, let me know, because I just can't see all of them. And so when students will get in touch, sometimes years after they graduated, with favorite films that they've seen, I might have seen a couple of them. There's always films that I haven't seen. And so I think it's not just the immediacy of a short film after you've made it and screened it, soon after at a festival that is rewarding, but just the long life that's possible for short films. So, and you probably had the same experiences of just, thinking, I can't wait to see these shorts, and then, having recommendations that you are lucky enough to find online if they're a few years old, and just thinking, I cannot believe how amazing these are. So I hope I answered that question. I encourage filmmakers to not only make more shorts, see more shorts, go to more short film festivals. I both can.
Just one last question. So, as a woman and a film critic yourself, do you think that the work of female directors such as Sofia Coppola, whose short film Nick the Star you wrote about, and also Sonia K. Haddad, the Iranian filmmaker whose film Exam you're going to present during the festival, do you think that these women directors have helped and can still help the feminist movement around the world?
Absolutely. And this is where I think shorts are also valuable, because years ago, before feature-length films came to mainstream, even some independent films that would maybe have a slight feminist orientation, there often seems to be a very narrow perspective about feminism. Where I found the most exciting expressions of feminism, the most challenging, not for me, but maybe for other audiences or audience members, where I found the most incisive, challenging, direct expressions of feminism was in short films. And this goes back even to the 1970s, when women internationally and especially in the States were making shorts because they weren't given budgets to make feature-length films, because it's so prohibitively expensive to make feature-length films, that feminism has long found a home in short film festivals. And this, I think, has only gotten more and more. It's more and more the case as the years have gone by. Now I see that, and this year at this festival, there are so many films made by women, and it's so different than back in the day. And it is so, it really is where I think one can fully express oneself as an artist in terms of feminist ideology, and what I love about the number of women making short films like Sonia Haddad and Exam. While her film cannot be shown officially in Iran, it has traveled the world, and it is very oriented to the culture of repression in Iran, the repression of girls, and it's just very forthright about showing that reality. And so I think it's just really exciting, and it's I know I keep saying exciting, but it's absolutely overwhelming to me that it has taken until the last few years to have an almost equal number, and in some cases an exactly equal number, of short films made by men directors, young men, and young women. And so now I just kind of take it for granted, which if you told me this even 10 years ago, I would have said, see, I would have made the wrong bet in that case, and that I would have been able to buy that house in Venice. So I really think that I've seen some startling, in a good way, films made by feminist filmmakers. And what I'm also finding too is that it's not just young women filmmakers who are making feminist films, but also young men. So I think it's a very friendly venue for feminine, and only more so. Did you see the film, and I might get the title wrong, My Year in Dix?
I don't know, maybe there's another title in Italian because
No, probably I know it, but I haven't seen it. I'm not sure.
This is a very it's an animated film. It's a delightful film. It's a very feminist film, and it was one of the few really feminist films that made its way into the short list of nominated films for the Oscars. Of course it didn't win, but more people saw it, and I thought this is a hopeful sign, because if that got into the list of nominees, maybe even the larger culture will see more feminist films. And I think at some point we won't even have to think about what sort of forms of art are friendly to feminism, because it'll just be something that we take for granted, and that we just expect it. It's just part of, the air we breathe. And so I think that it's just an amazing and really breathtaking accomplishment for short filmmakers that have been bold despite the maybe the reticence of more conventional venues to show more challenging films. And I think it's one of the strengths of short films is that they challenge us. And I think we need to be challenged kind of more and more every day. So as long as I've been loving films, I still love the excitement of that. So,
thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
We are done, so it was a pleasure to meet you and to talk with you.
Oh, thank you so much. I gave very long answers.
Oh,
No
no,
worries.
it was fascinating.
Feel free to edit. Okay. Alrighty. I will see you at the theaters.
Yes,
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.